Chosen one. Let me ask you something. Why are you so tired even when you haven't given up? Why does rest no longer fix what you're feeling and motivation no longer reach the place that feels heavy inside you? Chosen one. This is not random. You didn't find this message by accident. Heaven timed this moment with precision. Scripture says there is an appointed time, and at the appointed time it will speak and not delay. Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3. And right now something is speaking to your spirit. This exhaustion you've been carrying isn't weakness. It isn't laziness. It isn't burnout. It's your soul rejecting a life, a pace, a level that no longer matches who you were created to be. You've been forcing yourself to function in a frequency that is too small for what God placed inside you, and your spirit has started to resist. Chosen one. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. What feels heavy is about to make sense. What feels delayed is being repositioned. There is an elevation forming quietly, a transfer being prepared, a door aligning that you didn't knock on but were assigned to walk through. Stay with me to the end, because what you're feeling isn't the end of your strength, it's the signal that something higher is calling you forward. Chosen one. There is something I need to say plainly without softening it, because your spirit already knows it's true. Too many people live as if tomorrow is guaranteed, as if time owes them another chance, another window, another season. But you feel the weight of time differently. You feel it because you were never designed to drift. You were never created to sit idle, waiting for permission, waiting for validation, waiting for applause that may never come. That tension you feel inside is not pressure from the world. It's the call of heaven reminding you that you were built to move with purpose, not to wait on comfort. Chosen one. You were not created to be average. You were created to disrupt atmospheres, to carry authority in your walk, to leave an imprint wherever your feet touch the ground. And when you try to live small, when you try to blend in, when you try to silence that inner pull, your soul reacts. That reaction is what you've been calling exhaustion. But it's deeper than that. It's the friction that happens when destiny is delayed. I remember a season in my own life when everything looked fine on the outside. I was functioning, I was showing up, I was doing what was expected. But inside there was a restlessness I couldn't name. I wasn't lazy, I wasn't ungrateful. I was tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. And it took time to realize the truth. I wasn't tired from doing too much. I was tired from doing what didn't belong to me anymore. That kind of exhaustion is sacred because it's a signal that God is pulling you out of what you've outgrown. Chosen one. This is not just another year turning on a calendar. This is a threshold. This is the moment where setbacks, heartbreaks, disappointments, and silent doubts stop defining you. There is a voice inside you that has been quiet for too long, not because it was weak, but because it was waiting for the right season to speak. That season is now. Heaven is not asking you to imagine small anymore. Heaven is asking you to build what your heart has been carrying in secret. There is always one decision standing between who you are and who you are becoming. Not 10 steps, not a perfect plan, one decision. I've learned that the most defining moments don't feel dramatic when they arrive. They feel heavy, they feel sobering, they feel like responsibility. When I finally stopped waiting for life to change me and accepted that I had to respond to the call, everything shifted, not overnight, but undeniably. Ownership replaced excuses. Clarity replaced confusion. Chosen one. You are someone who shows up for others. You've poured into people, supported them, believed in them, stood with them in seasons when they couldn't stand on their own. But let me ask you something. Your spirit has been whispering for a while now. When was the last time you showed up for yourself with that same devotion? Not halfway, not distracted, not delayed, fully present, fully committed. Heaven is not asking for perfection from you. Heaven is asking for ownership. This season is not about being flawless. It is about taking responsibility for your life at a level you've never taken it before. Change does not come knocking politely. It does not arrive when conditions are ideal. Change responds to pursuit. It responds to hunger. It responds to the moment you become fed up, not with people, not with circumstances, but with the version of yourself that keeps shrinking to fit places God is actively trying to pull you out of. I've noticed something about the year. Everything truly changed for me. It wasn't the year I received something external. It was the year I reached my limit internally. The year excuses stopped comforting me. The year doubt stopped feeling safe. The year I could no longer tolerate betraying my own potential. That's when momentum began. Not because life got easier, but because my posture changed. Chosen one, hear this clearly. Heaven is not about to hand you the life you desire without resistance. This next season will test you. It will stretch you. It will confront you. It will ask if you are serious about what you've been praying for. But the discovery you are searching for, the one that changes how you see yourself, only comes when you are willing to go farther than what feels familiar. And no matter how many times you've been knocked down, as long as you are breathing, there is another round. Believing in yourself is not arrogance. It is agreement with what God already placed inside you. That belief becomes a force when you declare it before circumstances confirm it. I learned to speak alignment before evidence. I learned to say, "This is my year," not because everything looked right, but because my spirit recognized the timing. Discipline, elevation, alignment. These are not random rewards. They are responses to decision. Chosen one. There comes a moment when you are simply done living small, done hiding from your own capacity, done pretending you don't know what you want. That moment is not dramatic. It is quiet and firm. It sounds like resolve. It sounds like ownership. It sounds like refusing to wait for the clock to change before you do. The transformation doesn't begin at midnight. It begins the moment you decide to become who you were designed to be. The version of you that is forming right now is not fragile. That version is unstoppable because it is no longer divided. There are doors ahead of you, rooms. You are meant to walk into conversations. You are meant to have agreements. You are meant to sign lives. You are meant to impact. This calling stretches beyond you. It reaches cities, families, even bloodlines. But none of it activates until you step across the invisible line you've been standing in front of. The future does not belong to the hesitant. It does not belong to the passive or the cautious. It belongs to those who move in faith when clarity is partial and comfort is absent. I had to learn to stop wasting energy on doubt and redirect it into purpose. When I finally said, "I believe in me," something aligned. Say it again, chosen one. Believe it not as hype, but as truth. Because once that belief settles, fear loses its grip. Your past loses its authority. Opposition loses its voice. The world has not yet seen the healed you, the focused you, the unshakable you. And when that version rises, nothing will be able to stop what heaven has already approved. Your moment was never behind you. It has been forming in front of you this entire time. Chosen one. There is a truth many people never face, and it's the reason they stay stuck even while working hard. Your exhaustion is not coming from effort alone. It is coming from resistance. Resistance between who you are becoming and the environment that keeps asking you to remain who you used to be. When alignment begins, misalignment becomes painful. What once felt normal now feels heavy. What once felt acceptable now feels draining. This is not a breakdown. This is a separation. There comes a point where your spirit stops negotiating. It stops tolerating small rooms, shallow conversations, borrowed beliefs, and borrowed timelines. And when that happens, the body reacts, the mind reacts, your energy reacts. You may have noticed that things which never bothered you before suddenly feel unbearable. Noise irritates you, waiting frustrates you, repetition exhausts you. That is not impatience, that is awareness. Heaven is sharpening your discernment because where you are going, you will not have the luxury of confusion. I remember when I first felt this shift. Nothing around me changed at first. Same routines, same responsibilities, same faces. But internally, something refused to stay quiet. I would sit in rooms and feel like I didn't belong there anymore, even though I once prayed to be there. I would accomplish things and feel no satisfaction, only a strange urgency to move. That's when I realized God was not removing things from my life yet. He was removing my attachment to them. Detachment always comes before transition. Chosen one. Many people pray for elevation, but are not prepared for the isolation that precedes it. Because elevation does not announce itself loudly at first. It whispers, it pulls you inward, it creates distance between you and what once defined you. You may feel misunderstood in this season. You may feel like people don't recognize you the way they used to. That is not rejection, that is recalibration. When your frequency changes, resonance changes. Not everyone can hear you clearly anymore. This is why you cannot measure this season by external validation. Applause will come later. Confirmation will come later. Right now, heaven is doing internal work. The kind of work no one claps for. The kind of work that feels lonely, quiet, and inconvenient. But this is the work that creates stability. Scripture reminds us that what is built in secret is sustained in public, and what is rushed into the open without preparation collapses under its own weight. Chosen one, understand this. The resistance you are feeling is not God opposing you. It is God training you. Pressure reveals structure. Testing reveals readiness. If what you are carrying could be released without preparation, it would have been released already. But what is assigned to you carries influence, weight, and consequence. Heaven does not rush what must last. You may have noticed that shortcuts no longer appeal to you. Easy paths feel wrong. Surface-level wins feel empty. That is because your spirit is maturing beyond temporary reward. There is a difference between being blessed and being trusted. Blessings can come quickly. Trust is built slowly. And right now, heaven is teaching you stewardship of your time, your energy, your attention, and your identity. Chosen one, this is also the season where excuses lose their comfort. They don't soothe you anymore. They irritate you. You've outgrown them. What once felt like protection now feels like limitation. And that is dangerous for comfort, but powerful for destiny. Because once excuses stop working, movement begins. Real movement, not busy movement, aligned movement. I had to confront this myself. There was a moment when I realized that my biggest enemy was no longer fear, it was familiarity. Familiarity with patterns that no longer served me. Familiarity with people who loved the old version of me but resisted the new one. Familiarity with systems that benefited from my silence. And choosing growth meant choosing discomfort. Not because growth is painful by nature, but because transition disrupts comfort. Chosen one, do not confuse discomfort with disobedience. Many people retreat when things feel hard, thinking God has closed a door. But often the discomfort is the confirmation. When God moves you, He stretches you. When He elevates you, He challenges you. The absence of resistance would mean there is no expansion taking place. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. This is why this season feels serious, heavier, more intentional. Playtime is over, not because joy is gone, but because purpose has arrived. You are no longer asking shallow questions like, will this work? You are asking deeper ones like, is this aligned? That shift alone tells me you are not the same person you were before. Alignment costs more than motivation, but it produces more than effort ever could. Chosen one. There is also something else happening. Your tolerance for disorder is decreasing. Chaos drains you faster. Lack of structure frustrates you. Wasted potential bothers you deeply, not just in yourself, but in others. That is because leadership awareness is awakening. You are starting to see what could be, not just what is. And seeing potential without movement creates tension. That tension is the birthplace of authority. Authority does not come from position first. It comes from responsibility. From the moment you stop waiting for someone else to move and accept that movement begins with you. That realization is heavy. It strips away victimhood. It removes excuses. It forces honesty. But it also unlocks power. Because once you accept responsibility, you regain control. Chosen one. I want you to hear this clearly. Heaven is not calling you to hustle blindly. Heaven is calling you to align deeply. Alignment looks like discipline when no one is watching. It looks like restraint when you could react. It looks like consistency when enthusiasm fades. This is not glamorous work, but it is sacred work. And sacred work always precedes supernatural outcomes. You may not see immediate results yet, and that can be frustrating. But remember this: roots grow before fruit appears. No one celebrates roots. No one photographs roots. But without them, nothing stands. Your life is being rooted right now, stabilized, strengthened, so that when elevation comes, it does not crush you. Chosen one. This season is also revealing who can walk with you and who cannot. Some people will drift naturally, others will resist your growth. Do not fight to keep what God is loosening. Do not beg for understanding from those who benefit from you staying the same. Release is not loss, it is obedience. I know it can feel lonely at times, especially when you cannot explain what you're feeling clearly, especially when others think you are overthinking, overreaching, or changing too much. But you are not changing into something foreign. You are returning to who you always were beneath adaptation and survival. The exhaustion you feel is the last protest of an old life losing control. Let it pass. Do not medicate it with distraction. Do not numb it with noise. Sit with it. Listen to it. It is pointing you forward. Chosen one, you are not behind. You are not late. You are not failing. You are being refined. And refinement always feels intense before it feels rewarding. Stay present. Stay surrendered. Stay honest. What is forming now will speak for you later. This is not a season to shrink. This is a season to stand firm even when clarity is partial. Because heaven is already moving ahead of you, aligning doors, people, and timing. Your responsibility right now is not to see everything. It is to remain aligned with what you already know in your spirit. And what you know is this: you cannot go back to who you were. You cannot unsee what you now see. You cannot settle for what no longer fits. That awareness alone means you are already in transition. Chosen one. There is a moment in every true calling where the battle shifts. It is no longer between you and the world. It becomes a confrontation between you and the version of yourself that was built to survive, not to lead. This is the part few people talk about because it's quiet, internal, and deeply uncomfortable. But this is where authority is either claimed or abandoned. Up to this point, you may have thought the pressure came from people, systems, expectations, or circumstances. But the deeper truth is this: the greatest resistance you are facing right now is not external opposition. It is internal hesitation. Not doubt that you can do it, but hesitation about fully stepping into who you already know you are becoming. I remember when this realization hit me. I kept asking God to remove obstacles, only to realize the obstacle was my attachment to familiarity. I was praying for clarity while still holding on to versions of myself that were never meant to go forward with me. I wanted elevation without surrender, and heaven does not work that way. Elevation always requires release. Chosen one, there is an old frequency that cannot follow you into the next season. It's the frequency of waiting, of over-explaining, of seeking permission to become what you were already authorized to be. That frequency once kept you safe. It helped you survive, but now it is slowing you down, and your spirit knows it. That's why rest feels incomplete. That's why peace feels interrupted. You are being asked to let go of a mindset that no longer matches your assignment. This is where many people turn back. Not because they lack strength, but because they underestimate the cost of transformation. Transformation is not about adding more to your life. It is about subtracting what no longer belongs. And subtraction hurts because it feels like loss, even when it's alignment. Chosen one, hear this carefully. You are not fighting laziness. You are not fighting fear. You are fighting identity expansion. And expansion always feels destabilizing at first. When your capacity grows, your old structures feel too tight. Your old habits feel restrictive. Your old excuses feel insulting. That discomfort is the signal that growth is underway. There was a season when I had to confront my own patterns honestly. Patterns of delay masked as patience. Patterns of humility that were actually fear of visibility. Patterns of loyalty that kept me tied to environments that benefited from my silence. And when those patterns were exposed, it was painful not because they were evil, but because they were familiar. Letting go felt like betrayal to my past self, but holding on would have been betrayal to my future. Chosen one. This is why this season feels serious. You are no longer being entertained by shallow motivation. You are being summoned into responsibility. Heaven is not asking if you feel ready. Heaven is asking if you are willing to act without applause, willing to move without guarantees, willing to trust alignment over comfort. The enemy in this season is subtle. It does not shout. It whispers. It sounds like just a little longer, not yet, when things are clearer, when you're more prepared. But clarity often comes after movement, not before. Preparation is forged in action, not contemplation, and waiting too long can become disobedience dressed as wisdom. Chosen one, you may feel tension between urgency and patience. That tension is not confusion. It is discernment being sharpened. Patience does not mean stagnation. Patience means moving at the pace of obedience, not fear. And obedience sometimes requires speed. Not reckless speed, but decisive movement. This is also the season where your relationship with discipline is being redefined. Discipline is no longer punishment. It is devotion. It is how you honor what has been entrusted to you. I used to think discipline meant forcing myself to do things I didn't want to do. Now I understand it differently. Discipline is the structure that protects your calling when emotions fluctuate. It is the system that keeps you aligned when motivation fades. Chosen one, unseen work is being emphasized right now because unseen work reveals intention. Anyone can perform when watched. Few remain consistent when no one is counting. Heaven watches differently than people do. Heaven measures faithfulness, not performance, and what is built in secret carries a different kind of authority when it is revealed. You may have noticed that you are becoming less interested in being understood and more committed to being aligned. That shift is significant. When you stop explaining yourself, you conserve energy. When you stop defending your direction, you protect momentum. Not everyone needs to understand your path. Some people are assigned to watch from a distance. There is also a pruning happening in your desires. Things you once wanted intensely no longer excite you, not because you are ungrateful, but because your values are maturing. Shallow rewards cannot satisfy a deep calling. Temporary pleasure cannot compete with lasting purpose. That shift can feel disorienting, but it is a sign of depth, not loss. Chosen one. You are learning to sit with discomfort without immediately escaping it. That is strength. You are learning to stay present in tension without numbing it. That is growth. You are learning to choose alignment over approval. That is leadership. I want to be honest with you. There were moments when I wanted to go back, not because I failed, but because it was easier. Easier to blend in, easier to explain less, easier to carry less responsibility. But once your eyes open, they do not close again. Once you see your capacity, pretending not to see it becomes painful. You cannot unknow what you now know. This season will test your consistency, not your talent, not your intelligence, your consistency. Will you show up when it's quiet? Will you remain disciplined when results are delayed? Will you continue moving when affirmation is absent? Those are the questions that shape authority. Chosen one, do not underestimate the power of staying aligned when no one is cheering. Some of the most significant shifts in your life will happen without witnesses, but their impact will be undeniable later. What you are building now will speak louder than any announcement ever could. There is also a deeper surrender being invited. Not surrender of effort, but surrender of control. Control over timing, control over outcome, control over how the story unfolds. True surrender does not make you passive, it makes you precise. It allows you to move without forcing, to act without panic, to trust without clinging. You may feel a narrowing happening. Fewer distractions, fewer tolerances, fewer options that feel right. That narrowing is not limitation, it is focus. Heaven often narrows the path before expanding the territory. Precision precedes increase. Chosen one. This is not the season to look back and measure progress against who you used to be. That comparison will always feel strange because you are not meant to return there. Measure instead by alignment, by peace beneath pressure, by clarity beneath complexity, by resolve beneath uncertainty. You are not failing because things feel hard. You are advancing because they do. Resistance is evidence of movement. Friction is evidence of momentum. If nothing were shifting, nothing would be challenged. Stay with the process. Stay honest with yourself. Stay surrendered to what you know is true in your spirit. You are not lost. You are not behind. You are not confused. You are being reshaped. And what is being reshaped now will carry weight when it emerges. Chosen one. There is a layer of this journey that rarely gets explained correctly, and that misunderstanding keeps many people stuck. Wealth, as heaven defines it, is not first about numbers, assets, or accumulation. Those are outcomes. Wealth begins as alignment. It begins as authority. It begins as trust. And when those foundations are set, provision follows naturally, often suddenly. What you are experiencing right now is not simply a call to do more. It is a call to carry more. And carrying more requires a different internal structure. That is why this season feels weighty. Authority always feels heavier than opportunity. Opportunity excites the ego. Authority sobers the soul. I learned this the hard way. There was a time when I thought I wanted abundance, but what I actually wanted was relief. I wanted escape from pressure, escape from responsibility, escape from uncertainty. But heaven does not release true increase to escape artists. It releases it to stewards. And stewardship begins with how you handle what you already carry when no one is watching. Chosen one. This is why your spirit is being trained to value precision over speed. Speed can impress people. Precision builds legacy. Heaven is teaching you to move deliberately, to speak intentionally, to choose carefully. You may have noticed that impulsive decisions no longer feel right. Quick wins feel shallow. You are becoming selective not because you are afraid, but because discernment is sharpening. There is a difference between chasing wealth and being positioned for wealth. Chasing keeps you reactive. Positioning keeps you ready. Chasing exhausts you. Positioning stabilizes you. And right now, heaven is positioning you. That process feels slow to the impatient mind, but it is exact to the obedient spirit. Chosen one. Think about this: doors that matter rarely open because you knock loudly. They open because you are recognized. Recognition does not come from noise. It comes from consistency, integrity, and alignment over time. This is why unseen seasons are so critical. They build reputation in places you have never been, among people you have never met. I remember a season when nothing visible was happening, but internally everything was changing. My standards rose, my tolerance lowered, my focus narrowed. I stopped saying yes to things that drained me, even when they looked good on the surface. And months later, opportunities began to appear that I could never have forced. I realized then that alignment had been working ahead of me. Chosen one. Heaven-backed wealth does not rush you into rooms you are not ready to govern. It prepares you to enter with authority so that when you arrive, you are not overwhelmed. That is why your current refinement feels intense. You are being trained not just to receive, but to sustain. This is also why your relationship with time is changing. You are becoming more protective of it, more intentional with it. Wasting time now feels like self-betrayal. That is not obsession. That is stewardship awakening. When you understand that your time is tied to your assignment, you stop giving it away casually. Chosen one, notice how your desires are becoming cleaner, less cluttered, less influenced by comparison. You are no longer impressed by what looks good if it costs you peace. You are no longer motivated by applause if it requires compromise. That clarity is not accidental, it is preparation. Wealth that comes without clarity creates chaos. Wealth that comes without identity creates insecurity. Wealth that comes without discipline creates loss. Heaven is preventing those outcomes by building you properly first. This is mercy, not delay. There is also a deep humility forming in you. Not the kind that shrinks, but the kind that listens. The kind that knows it does not know everything. The kind that remains teachable even as authority grows. That humility will protect you later. It will keep you grounded when doors open quickly and people begin to respond differently to you. Chosen one. I want you to understand something clearly. When heaven trusts you with influence, it also trusts you with impact. And impact always affects more than you. It touches families, systems, environments. That is why this calling has felt heavy at times. You are not carrying only yourself. You are carrying outcomes that will affect others. I remember when I first realized that my decisions were no longer just about me. The weight of that awareness was sobering. Every choice mattered more. Every delay cost more. Every act of discipline protected more than just my future. That awareness changed how I moved. It slowed me down in the right ways and sharpened me in others. Chosen one. This is why shortcuts no longer appeal to you. Shortcuts feel like theft now, even when they are legal. Your spirit knows that what is meant to last cannot be rushed. You are willing to build quietly if it means building correctly. That willingness is rare, and rarity attracts opportunity. Heaven-backed wealth also comes with timing that cannot be manipulated. You may feel moments of urgency followed by moments of restraint. That rhythm is intentional. Urgency activates obedience. Restraint preserves alignment. Learning when to move and when to wait is part of your training. This is where surrender deepens. Not surrender to inactivity, but surrender to guidance. You are learning to move when directed, not when pressured. To pause when instructed, not when fearful. That level of obedience builds confidence that no external validation can replace. Chosen one, do not underestimate how much your internal order matters right now. Order in your thoughts, order in your habits, order in your environment. Disorder drains authority, order multiplies it. Even small acts of structure in this season are preparing you for larger responsibilities later. You may have noticed that chaos bothers you more now. That disorganization irritates you faster. That is not intolerance. That is leadership instinct emerging. Leaders feel disorder because they are wired to correct it. But correction begins within. I want to share something personal. There was a time when I thought my frustration meant I was failing. In reality, it meant I was ready to take ownership, ready to stop blaming circumstances, ready to stop waiting for permission. That frustration became fuel once I understood it correctly. Chosen one, your exhaustion is not asking you to stop. It is asking you to align, to simplify, to prioritize, to refine. When you do, energy returns not because you rest more, but because resistance decreases. Alignment restores strength. This is also why your faith feels different now. Less emotional, more grounded. You are not chasing spiritual experiences. You are building spiritual stability. That stability will carry you through seasons where emotions fluctuate and outcomes are delayed. Heaven is not testing you to see if you will fail. Heaven is refining you so that when success arrives, it does not change who you are. Character preserved under pressure becomes influence preserved under increase. Chosen one. Wealth that comes from alignment does not announce itself loudly at first. It often shows up as access, as trust, as doors opening without explanation, as people responding to you differently, as invitations you did not seek. Pay attention to those shifts. They are signs of positioning. Do not rush to interpret them fully yet. Simply remain faithful, remain aligned, remain disciplined. The picture will clarify as you move. You are not behind schedule. You are not missing out. You are being prepared. And preparation is the most loving thing heaven can do for someone destined to carry weight. Stay steady, stay grounded, stay surrendered. What is forming in you now is not temporary, it is structural. And when the time comes for increase to manifest visibly, you will not need to chase it. It will recognize you. Chosen one. There is a point on this path where everything becomes quiet, not because nothing is happening, but because what is happening no longer needs noise. This is the stage where alignment matures into authority and authority settles into calm. Many mistake this quiet for stagnation. It is not. It is readiness. You may notice that your reactions have changed. Things that once provoked anxiety now meet restraint. Situations that once demanded explanation now meet silence. That is not apathy. That is composure forming. When authority rises, urgency lowers. When clarity strengthens, noise loses power. I learned this when I stopped trying to convince people of who I was becoming. I realized that convincing drains energy meant for building. Proof comes later, presence comes first, and presence does not rush. Presence stands, chosen one. This is where faith becomes practical, not dramatic, not emotional, practical. Faith that shows up on ordinary days. Faith that keeps commitments when excitement fades. Faith that chooses consistency over bursts of effort. This kind of faith doesn't shout, it sustains. You are also learning the discipline of restraint, knowing when not to speak, knowing when not to move, knowing when to let things reveal themselves without interference. This is wisdom growing. Impulsive movement can sabotage what patience is protecting. Heaven is training you to trust process over pressure. Pressure comes from outside. Process is internal. Pressure demands performance. Process builds capacity, and capacity determines what you can hold without breaking. Chosen one. There is a maturity settling into your decisions. You weigh things differently now. You ask deeper questions. Not, will this work, but is this aligned? Not, can I do this, but should I carry this? Those questions mark a shift from ambition to assignment. Assignment changes everything. When something is assigned, it carries backing, it carries provision, it carries timing, and it does not require you to force outcomes. It requires you to stay aligned. You may have felt moments where things almost happened, close calls, near breakthroughs, almost doors. Do not be discouraged by those. They were not failures. They were calibrations. Heaven was adjusting timing, not denying progress. Near openings teach patience. They refine expectation. They prepare humility. I remember moments where I thought, this is it, only to have the moment pass quietly. At first it frustrated me. Later I understood. I was being protected from stepping in too early, from entering rooms before my footing was stable, from carrying weight before my structure was ready. Chosen one. Heaven values sustainability over speed. Speed can be impressive. Sustainability builds legacy. You are being shaped for something that lasts longer than excitement. Something that outlives trends, something that does not collapse under pressure. This is why your inner life matters so much right now. Your thoughts, your habits, your environment. Small inconsistencies feel louder because your capacity is increasing. What you could once ignore now disrupts your peace. That is not hypersensitivity. That is alignment refining. You are also learning to release outcomes, to do your part and let results unfold. Control drains faith. Trust restores it. When you stop gripping results, energy returns. When you release timelines, clarity sharpens. Chosen one, you are no longer chasing certainty. You are choosing obedience. Certainty waits for proof. Obedience moves with conviction. Proof always follows obedience but never precedes it. This is also where gratitude deepens. Not gratitude for everything working out, but gratitude for the shaping itself. Gratitude for the unseen protection. Gratitude for the doors that did not open. Gratitude for the strength built in silence. I had to learn to thank God, not only for provision, but for restraint, for pauses, for delays that kept me from misalignment. Once I saw restraint as mercy, frustration lost its hold. Chosen one, do not underestimate how much influence quiet faith carries. People sense it. Opportunities respond to it. Systems recognize it. Authority attracts alignment without effort. You may notice that people begin to treat you differently, not with noise but with respect, not with questions but with trust. That shift does not come from assertion, It comes from internal order. This is also where your sense of purpose stabilizes. It no longer fluctuates with mood. It no longer depends on validation. It becomes an anchor, something you return to when doubt tries to rise. Purpose does not remove difficulty. It gives meaning to it, and meaning sustains endurance. Chosen one, remember this exhaustion that came from misalignment fades as alignment settles. Energy returns naturally when resistance ends. You will feel moments of renewed strength, not manic, not rushed, but steady, reliable, grounded. That steadiness is power. It allows you to move without burning out, to carry responsibility without collapsing, to lead without needing to dominate. This is the kind of strength heaven builds before visible elevation. Strength that does not need to prove itself. Strength that does not compete. Strength that does not rush. You may still face challenges. Resistance does not disappear overnight, but your response will be different. Challenges will no longer define you. They will refine you. Chosen one, you are stepping into a season where trust replaces striving, where faith replaces fear, where alignment replaces exhaustion. This does not mean effort stops. It means effort becomes focused. Focused effort multiplies impact. Scattered effort drains energy. You are learning to say no without guilt, to pause without panic, to move without approval. Those are signs of authority settling in. I want you to understand something deeply. What is being built now cannot be shaken later. The foundation is being set carefully, deliberately, lovingly. Heaven is not hurried. Heaven is precise. You are not late. You are not missing anything. You are exactly where you need to be to receive what is coming without being overwhelmed by it. Stay present. Stay aligned. Stay surrendered. Do not rush the unfolding. Your exhaustion has done its job. It has signaled misalignment. It has forced awareness. It has initiated change. Now comes steadiness. Now comes clarity. Now comes quiet confidence. And from that place, everything else begins to move in its proper time. Chosen one, take a breath and receive this moment. What you've felt, what you've carried, what has weighed on you in silence, it was not random and it was not wasted. You are standing in your Kairos moment, your divinely appointed time, where heaven aligns what earth could not. This exhaustion was not sent to break you. It was sent to position you. I declare over you now, a supernatural transfer is already in motion. What was delayed is being released. What was hidden is coming into alignment. What you thought drained you has refined you. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time. Chosen one, remain faithful to what has been entrusted to you. Stay aligned with the flow of the anointing resting on your life. Do not look back with regret. Look forward with gratitude. What is about to manifest will make sense of everything you endured. Scripture reminds us that those who wait on the Lord renew their strength, and that renewal is happening now. Go forward with quiet confidence. Walk with reverence. Build with integrity. Heaven is backing your steps, and peace will guard your heart as you move. If this word resonated with your spirit, honor it. Stay connected. Remain here with us and share where you're watching from as a witness to this moment. Chosen one, you are blessed, you are sealed, and what's coming is holy.